In 2018, I gave a sermon in which I called out Stephen Miller over his immoral and craven tactics that border guards used against refugees who tried to enter the US with their children. The press called me Stephen Miller's childhood rabbi, a title that is a bit of a misnomer because although Miller was here as a young grammar schooler, I never had the opportunity to interact with him one-on-one. I'm not sure that anything I might have said would have changed his angry attitudes toward immigrants and those that he already viewed as other, but I would love to have had the chance. His family left Beth Shir Shalom after his older sister became bat mitzvah. In an attempt to shroud the cruelty and chaos Miller created, the first Trump administration benignly labeled his policy family separation. Those words didn't describe at all what he did. He ordered border guards to rip children out of the arms of their mothers. Some agents placed screaming and crying babies and children on buses to undisclosed destinations, while others deported their parents. Neither the government nor private agencies successfully reunited all of those families. Last month, speaking about the protesters in the streets of Washington, D.C., Miller first cited anecdotal evidence, homeless encampments he's seen in the city since moving there 20 years ago, and graffiti that's never been removed. He said that D.C. is one of the most violent cities in the world. According to any list I could find, that is completely false. And then he denigrated the protesters in the street by saying, and the voices that you hear out there, those crazy communists, they have no roots. They have no connections to the city. They're the ones who've been advocating for the criminals, the killers, the rapists, the drug dealers. All these demonstrators that you've seen out there in recent days, all of these elderly white hippies. And they're not part of the city, and they never have been. Most citizens in Washington, D.C. are Black. So we're going to ignore these stupid white hippies. They all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old. Well, Mr. Miller, this old white Jewish hippie needs to respond to you again. If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. If you're going to San Francisco, you're gonna meet some gentle people there. Come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. Come on, you have to sing. Come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. Right now. Right now. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Next time. For the next time. That's right. Did you hear my guitar? Cool. Mr. Miller is often labeled a sycophant to Mr. Trump. Perhaps the relationship is the opposite. Maybe Trump bows down to Miller's policies, policies that are grossly immoral, anti-American, and antithetical to the values expressed in our founding documents, and certainly in the Jewish tradition that I teach. This is the time of year when crazy old Jewish white hippies start swimming before we sink like a stone. These holy days are the time of year when crazy old Jewish white hippies begin to push back against Miller, the other minions of number 47, and 47 himself. One could look at Judaism as a culture of pushing back when society doesn't live up to its best possibilities. For Jews, pushing back can undoubtedly come in the form of marching in the street with hundreds of others, or it can be something we do in private, unless you're a pulpit rabbi with a discretionary fund. If you were to talk with any of the fine folks I worked with over the years who volunteered to be treasurer of the temple, or even those who were members of the finance committee, I would wager that to a person they would say, "Don't let Rabbi Neil near the checkbook. He'll give away the store. Look at all those $18 and $36 checks he writes with his discretionary fund to save the whales, rescue abandoned puppies, or fund surgeries for children with cleft lips or palates. He leads with his heart. His caring runs amok." Regarding my overactive caring gland, I should cite the eloquence of Barack Obama in my support. And he said, "We are in great need of people being able to stand in somebody else's shoes and see the world through their eyes. Standing in the place and seeing things from the perspective of those whose life challenges overwhelm their resources is, for Jews, incumbent upon us all, not just rabbis. If we accept this as an individual mandate to act rather than a societal need to be fulfilled by someone, hopefully we won't ignore the call, and we will become and stay motivated. Even though the commandment to care for the poor and the widow and the orphan and the stranger comes from the Torah, sometimes the inspiration of someone else's real-world approach catalyzes us into action. Years ago, when the part of this synagogue that was called Temple Shir Shalom was still resident in the basement of St. Bede's Episcopal Church, our then president, Carol Weiner, told me something about her Aunt Mary, a member of the congregation. Aunt Mary was a lifelong liberal and progressive. Even though everyone was beginning to use personal computers at the time, Aunt Mary was old school. So all of her requests to help fund one liberal cause or another came through the post office. Mary was not a wealthy woman. Still, every January 1st, she began collecting the requests as they came in. For her, not one ask was expendable or ignorable. At the end of the year, she sat down with her huge pile of letters that she had assembled all year long and sent each organization, cause, or candidate a check for $1. Her niece Carol knew that the dollar barely covered the cost of the postage, the envelope, and its contents, but she never told her Aunt Mary. And it doesn't matter whether Mary created this annual custom, learned it, or borrowed it from someone else. What matters is her commitment to give, to donate, to do what she could. Where did her commitment come from? It might have been some American notion of participation in our democracy. And this was one way she chose to strengthen our republic. It might have been the Jewish commandment to not stand idly by, or our mandate regarding harvesting our fields. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall not pick your vineyard bare, or gather the fallen fruit in your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I, Adonai, am your God. I believe Aunt Mary's sense of commandment came from many sources, and ultimately from within. If we do what needs to be done only because some entity tells us to, then we give up the right to call ourselves sentient beings. Instead, we become automatons. Upton Sinclair wrote, "I intend to do what one little man can do to awaken the public conscience, and in the meantime, I am not frightened by your menaces. But I have a conscience and a religious faith, and I know that our liberties were not won without suffering, and may be lost again through our cowardice. I intend to do my duty to my country." Sinclair recognized that the most significant obstacle on the road to behaving morally responsible and addressing the needs of others equally to our own is pessimism. The voice in our head saying, "This is too much to accomplish. It can never be done." Sinclair goes on to say, pessimism is mental disease. It means illness in the person who voices it and in the society which produces that person. Although it may seem counterintuitive, contemporary conservative thinker Yuval Levin places optimism alongside pessimism as a twin seduction to inaction. This is what he says. Listen closely. It's important. Optimism and pessimism are both dangerous vices because they are both invitations to passivity. Hope is a virtue, and so it sits between those vices. And it tells us that things could go well and invites us to take action that might help make that happen and might make us worthy of it happening. Mr. Levin's understanding is stunning and eye-opening. Clearly, the notion about the passivity of both optimism and pessimism is a challenge to our most default attitudes. Considering hope as a positive energy is a further challenge. Defining hope as action that brings the content of our hopes to fruition, and to do so in a manner that makes us worthy of the outcome, holds our behavior and our speech to the highest moral and ethical standards. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey expressed this kind of hope in the aftermath of the recent shooting in his city, in which 2 young children were murdered and several other children and elderly adults were wounded. Mayor Frey said, "To everybody out there, do not think of these as just somebody else's kids. Think of this as if it were your own. Of course, the mayor who was speaking extemporaneously meant to say, think of these children as if they were your own. Indeed, the kind of hope and attitude Yuval Levin speaks about prods us to hope even more actively. It's not as if these children are my own, they are my own. These are my children. Every innocent resident refugee who checks in with U.S. immigration as they are required to do, and then is arrested and or deported by ICE agents who are waiting for them in the hallway, those people are part of my family. And every nanny arrested in Santa Monica when ICE invaded a park where they were taking care of someone else's child, that is my kid's nanny and my friend. The woman who used to sell fruit to my wife at Rancho Park, who is now too afraid to show up anymore, is my fruit lady, cowering in her apartment. Every Ukrainian child stolen by Russian troops is my child. Every Israeli child terrorized, brutalized, and orphaned by Hamas before, after, and on October 7th, 2023 is my child. And it's my responsibility to make sure that he or she is comforted and nurtured and given a safe future. And every shell-shocked Palestinian child starving in Gaza is my child. The book of Proverbs tells us that hope deferred sickens the heart. Rashi, the great 9th and 10th century French commentator, reflected on that verse saying, he relies on his friend and he does nothing. The world's problems and challenges are not my neighbor's responsibility. They are mine. I must sit down like Aunt Mary and give to all the deserving organizations that ask for my help. Stephen Miller, this crazy old white Jewish hippie, told you 8 years ago that most Jews don't do what you do. They don't act like you do. Jewish Americans, despite our history, or perhaps because of our history, are hopeful in the active sense. We donate to organizations that haven't given up hope. Jewish Americans walk toward the country's and the world's challenges. We don't blame others. We do our part to fix what's wrong, what's immoral, unkind, and inhumane. Hope deferred sickens the heart. Look out, Stephen. Hope is coming, carried with commitment and determination by crazy old white hippies. Amen. Not yet. Not yet. Almost.
To the right.
You know, we're going to have to write a song called Crazy Old White Hippies.
For the next song. Thank you.
Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready. But he starts it.
We're ready.
We're ready.
Am I in the right key?
Yes. I'm gonna get through this world the best I can if I can. And I'm gonna get through this world, and I think I can. Yes, I can. I'm gonna work in this world the best I can if I can. I'm gonna work in this world, and I think I can. Yes, I can. I'm gonna get through this world the best I can if I can. I'm gonna work in this world the best I can if I can. I'm gonna get through this world the best I can.
And I'm gonna walk in this world the best I can if I can. Yes, I'm gonna walk in this world, and I think I can. Yes, I can. I'm gonna talk in this world the best I can if I can. I'm gonna talk in this world, and I think I can. Yes, I can. I'm gonna walk in this world the best I can if I can. I'm gonna talk in this world the best I can if I can. I'm gonna get through this world the best I can. Die, 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 da, da, die. Die, 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 da, da, die, da, da, die, da, da, die, die. Da, da, die, da, da, die, die, die. Da, da, die, da, da, die, die, die. Die, 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 da, da, die, da, I'm gonna clean up this world the best I can if I can. I'm gonna clean up this world, and I think I can. Yes, I can. I'm gonna leave this world behind the best I can if I can. I'm gonna leave this world behind, and I think I can. Yes, I can. I'm gonna clean up this world the best I can if I can. I'm gonna leave this world behind the best I can if I can. I'm gonna get through this world the best I can. Die, 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 da, da, die. Die, 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 da, da, die, da, da, die, da, da, die, die, die. Da, da, die, da, da, die, die, die. Die, 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 da, da, die, da, da, die, da, da, die.